Today I want to talk about how to make sure that you are going to quit a thru hike. If you're new to this channel, you don't know, I'm a bit of a sarcastic person, but honestly this video is going to tell you how you're going to make sure not to be able to complete a thru hike. And if you do the following things, it's gonna be almost guaranteed that you're gonna quit before finishing it, right? So the first thing that's really going to help you quit a thru hike is not having the adequate big three. What are the big three? So that's shelter, such as a tent, your sleeping gear, such as a sleeping bag or a sleeping quilt, and then of course the backpack, what you're going to carry everything in, right? So if you don't have an adequate tent that's going to help you feel protected from the elements such as rain and wind, it's not gonna be a pleasure sleeping in the wild. You're going to be exposed to the elements and most likely you're gonna really hate your life and you're gonna wanna quit, right? And the same goes for your sleeping bag or sleeping quilt. If you do not have an adequately temperature gauged sleeping bag or quilt, you're going to freeze. You're going to have a really horrible time sleeping. And what is the most important thing when you're hiking all day long? It's sleep. You gotta get the sleep. When you have really great gear, you're gonna sleep about 12 hours per night. And it's pretty good sleep once you get used to being out in the woods. The next thing that's going to ensure you not being able to finish a thru hike is kind of obvious, but a lot of people forget about it, and that's not eating adequately or enough or the right kind of food, as well as not hydrating and taking in the minerals and vitamins that you need for your hike. So you're going to be out there in the woods for months, and hiker food does really suck because you're not able to carry food with you that's perishable, that's quickly perishable, right? Such as like salads and fruits and vegetables, plus they're super heavy. And so a hiker generally chooses anything that's dehydrated, grains, and we all know those are super inflammatory. And so in order for you to be a healthy hiker, you're gonna have to put some thought into that. Maybe take some vitamins, take some minerals. When you're in town, perhaps eat some vegetables and fruits. And that's something that I tried to do, that once I did resupply, my first day generally involved something heavier, so like an avocado, some salads and things like that. That way I would get some nutrition. And then also we did take some vitamins throughout our hike. And also with regard to hydration, I tended to put in some electrolytes into my water. So make sure that you hydrate and you eat the right kind of food, because if you don't, you're gonna guarantee yourself not being able to finish a thru hike. The next thing that's gonna almost guarantee you not being able to finish a thru hike is having the wrong kind of footwear, like the shoes. And oh my God, I've seen so many hikers for this year in 2023 quitting their thru hike because of the wrong footwear. Plantar fasciitis is just going rampant among the thru hiker community. And guess what? They're always wearing the wrong kind of shoe, and I don't have statistics, but most of the time they're wearing the freaking Ultra Lone Peaks. Those are the shoes that I was wearing. In fact, I had 3 different pairs thinking, oh, those are the cool shoes, everybody wears them. And then what happened? I got plantar fasciitis. I got incredibly painful feet. I had to take my shoes off every 4 miles, massage my feet. I fell and tripped numerous times. And eventually, once I got to New York, I decided it's time to change my shoe. And it made a whole lot of difference. I got the Salomon Speed Cross. I'm not saying get those shoes, because you need to get whatever is comfortable for you. And if you're not used to 0 drop shoes like the Lone Peak Ultras, then maybe that wouldn't be the right kind of shoe. I didn't even think about it. I'm a ballroom dancer and I wear heels, so those are not 0 drops. So of course, in hindsight, 0 drop shoes weren't gonna work for me. And please, 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 please try out different shoes, and please be open to changing them. I know the Lone Peak Ultras are super cute and my Speed Cross are pretty ugly, but guess what? I feel like I'm walking on clouds when I'm wearing the Speed Cross, right? So anyway, if you don't get the right kind of footwear, you're gonna quit the trail, because so many people in 2023 have quit the trail because of foot problems, okay? Just do it. Just get the right kind of shoes. Setting the wrong kind of expectations for a thru hike is almost and surely and entirely gonna make sure that you're gonna hate your trip. Thinking that a thru hike is exclusively fun is the wrong kind of expectation. And if you think that's what's gonna be happening, you're gonna quit your thru hike probably pretty quickly. So once you start your hike, or before you make the decision to hike, you really need to understand that a thru hike is tough. And I know many people tell you, and people told me, and I was always like, blah, 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 blah. Obviously it's gonna be tough, right? But, you know, obviously you don't realize how tough it is until you do it, and the monotony of getting up in the morning and hiking and then finding camp and going to bed, it's kind of like monotonous, right? So knowing that's monotonous, knowing that it's difficult going up the hill, down the hill, and just, I mean, it's literally incline and decline all day long. There really isn't time where it's just flat walking. So know the fact that this is gonna be tough going, and if you are happy to embrace the suck, which is what a lot of people call it, then you are going to have a good time. Meaning, if you know it's gonna be not fun and you still embrace it, you're probably gonna last a while. If not, you're gonna quit. Now, this is just my opinion. This is not going to entirely ensure that you're going to have a horrible time on trail. I personally believe that if a person finds a trail family or a hiking partner, it is more likely for them to be able to finish the hike. Now, I've made a video about similar statements before, and I'm getting these thru hikers from last year telling me, oh, I lasted all by myself. I get that. A lot of people are good doing this by themselves, but I've seen a lot of people quit their thru hike because they were lonely, because they didn't find a trail family, and it wasn't really exciting for them being all by themselves in the woods for months on end, right? So for me, my personal opinion is it is better to have a hiking partner or a hiking family in order for you to kind of want to finish the trail. But if you don't want to finish the trail, make sure you don't find any hiking friends. Now, with that statement comes, in order for you to really hate the trail, you're gonna have to make sure not to set any boundaries. So if you don't set any boundaries and you let other people tell you how many miles to hike or how long to hike and what zeros there we're going to take, and you're gonna do that as well, then you're really gonna hate the trail. And so on the flip end, in order for you to want to thru hike and finish the trail, you gotta set yourself some boundaries, and you have to know yourself and know, hey, this is how many miles I'm going to hike, and I'm gonna stick to that. And I'm not going to let other people dictate my hike, meaning I'm going to hike what I can and how I want. And me personally, when I tried to hike as fast as other people, I actually had to endure some injuries, and that was just proof for me that I should just do what I need to do in order for me to be able to make it through. Another way to ensure that you are going to want to go home is having family issues waiting for you at home. So that could be not being in a good relationship with your spouse, people being unwell, the dog passing away. Having a lot of issues at home and just running away from them is probably going to make sure that you will not finish the trail, because those things will still be there. Those things will follow you onto the trail, and it's going to provide you the troubles and concerns for you not to enjoy your hike and always think about the problems. And you know, essentially you're gonna have to go home and still deal with those issues. Having family issues at home is going to ensure that you will probably quit your trail. I'm also a firm believer that if you do decide to go home for a bit and then get back on trail, it most likely will cause you to not finish your thru hike. Now, I said most likely because there's a lot of people who do that. They go home for somebody's graduation, somebody's wedding, or they go home for a few weeks to kind of recover from injury, right? And they'll go back and they'll finish. But a lot of people who do go home don't want to go back on trail. A lot of people who do go home and decide to go back on trail will start missing home a lot more. And that was one of the biggest things for me. I had been asked on numerous occasions to come home during my thru hike for just a little bit, and I said no, I am not coming home, because if I go home, it's going to be very difficult for me to go back on trail. Now, in addition to that, if you do go home and you happen to have a trail family or a hiking partner, you're going to lose that trail family and a hiking partner. You're going to have to make new friends and new trail family, and that's not always ensured. I mean, especially watching some thru hikers from this year, you know, they had left their hiking family and then they were upset that they were not with that family after, you know, doing a trip, a side trip, or going home. And so I would say, try not to go home if you want to finish the hike. But if you don't want to finish the hike, yeah, go home. Go home for a little bit. Do it. Let's do it. And you've heard this before, but I'm here to tell you, if you don't have enough money, you're going to have to quit the trail. Why? Because everything costs money. Like a shuttle costs money, a hotel, a hostel costs money. But even if you don't go into town, you still need food. What are you gonna do? You're gonna go and find fish in a lake? You're gonna have to have a license for that. You can't really bring guns with you on every single, you know, in every single state. They have different laws. And so what are you gonna do? You need money to be able to do this thru hike. And so if you didn't save enough, then that's gonna be a big problem, and you're gonna have to probably quit your thru hike. So don't go into this with half the amount, thinking, somehow this money is gonna come to me. You know, you make sure that you have enough. And what do people say? How much money do you need? It goes anywhere from 1,000 per month, right? I personally would say it's anywhere from 1,500 to 2,000 per month, just because everything is so expensive now. Like food is crazy expensive. And especially if you want to do something like the Pacific Crest Trail, you're probably gonna have to triple it. I don't know. But the Appalachian Trail, anywhere from $1,000 to $2,000 per month to be able to thru hike the trail. That's it for today, talking about how to make sure that you are not going to finish your thru hike. If you did enjoy this material, please like, subscribe, do the thing, and then I'll see you soon. Thank you so much for my patrons, and yes, boom shakalaka.